Last week, I looked back on Season 1 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. For the most part, I enjoyed the first season and was excited to see what Season 2 had in store. To give a brief summary of last week's review, I enjoyed the characters and felt like Star and Marco's friendship felt real, which was why I loved them being the focus. Looking back, I didn't have anything negative to say about the first season. Not every episode was great, but I didn't walk away from Season 1 hating any particular episode. So why am I saying all of this? Star vs. the Forces of Evil set my expectations high. For better or worse, I was hooked on the series and wanted to see it through till the end. So did Season 2 keep me invested in the series? For the most part, yes. Season 2, for the most part, follows the same formula. Star and Marco get into hijinks similar to most episodes from Season 1. However, they also start to introduce an overarching story to the series. There were a couple of examples in Season 1 where they introduced elements of an overarching story, like Toffee's introduction. However, Season 2 was the first time it felt like you had to watch every episode to keep up with the story. For example, multiple episodes covered how Star's magic wasn't acting normal at times, and would carry on throughout the season. It made you wonder if it was her wand, or possibly something else, causing her magic to act like that. I'll get into Star and everyone later, but first, I want to address a question I've had with some fans. Not just fans of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, but fans in general. Which is better, an episodic story or an overarching story? Personally, I like overarching stories better. I do enjoy both types, but overarching stories make me want to check out every episode as soon as they air, so I'm caught up. Also, they can lead to some material such as making theory and analysis videos. However, a series with an overarching story does have a risk. With an overarching story, you're working on something that builds up to something. Take One Piece and how Luffy wants to be the king of the pirates as an example. People are still watching the series after 2 decades because they love the story and want to see how it all ends. My point is that when you have people hooked on your story, they're hoping that staying around to see how it ends will be worth it. So why am I bringing this up now? Well, I want you to keep that in mind for my future videos. I promise I'll come back to this in one of them. However, I want to focus on Season 2, starting with Star this season. Season 2 does a lot of exciting things with Star in some episodes. It feels like the theme with her this season was helping her grow more as a character. She's still the same Star, but she's also growing into the queen we know she can become. One of the first examples of that is in the episode 1-to-1, where Star tries to use magic to take out the trash. However, because the wand isn't acting like usual, and her emotions now affect her magic, it makes things worse. Eventually, she does get her magic under control, but it's created an even bigger mess to clean up. However, instead of using her magic to clean it up, she does it herself. It's one of my favorite moments because Star learns not to use magic for every little thing, like cleaning. Sometimes she should use her magic, but it shouldn't just be her automatic go-to when dealing with anything. Granted, it's also because her magic is acting weird, but it's still good to see her not always relying on it to fix all her problems. Another example of Star growing as a character is in the episode Game of Flags. The episode revolves around Star and Marco playing a competition to plant a flag on a mountaintop and involves both sides of her family. However, Marco tries to tell her that the game is making her act crazy like the rest of her family and they should stop. Instead of taking Marco's advice, Star continues but is now carrying everyone's flag. Before her relatives can attack her for that, Moon steps in to save her and starts to lecture Star because she told her not to play. However, Star explains she was right, but then tells Moon she was trying to plant everyone's flag so they could all win. Not only are her relatives cheering after hearing that, but even Moon tells Star that it was a mature thing she was doing and that she was proud of her. There are more episodes like this in Season 2, but these were my 2 favorite episodes showing Star growing this season. Star's still the same silly princess that misunderstands things about Earth, but she's also becoming more mature. It feels like actual growth instead of just keeping Star the same and calling it a day, which I can appreciate when a series lets a character grow and does it right. So I know I talked a lot about Star growing, which makes sense since it is her name in the series title, but she's not the only character that grows this season. Her best friend Marco is another character that develops during this season, just in a different way. As I said earlier, Marco is still the voice of reason for Star most of the time. Because of that, he doesn't have to grow in the same way as Star. However, there are other ways for characters to grow, and we see that with how he handles his crush on Jackie this season. Like I said in my Season 1 video, Marco used to overthink things when asking out his crush Jackie. This season, he admits he has a crush on Jackie in the episode Sleepover. And in the episode Naysaya, Marco finally asks her out. Yeah, he's still nervous in those episodes. Who wouldn't be in that situation? But he's finally learning it's better just to say how he feels. And it ends up paying off because the two of them end up together in Bon Bon the Birthday Clown. With that said though, I think there is one thing worth talking about at this point in the series. I know I'm jumping ahead, but one of the complaints about the series as it went along was how much it focused on shipping. Again, this is more for a later video, but I want to address it now because some fans have pointed to Marco and Jackie getting together as the start of this issue, which I disagree with. Keep in mind, I'm only talking about Marco and Jackie's relationship in Season 2 and how Star was starting to have a crush on Marco. Believe me, when we get to later on in the series, I'll have a lot to say about that issue. For now, I want to focus on why I don't view it as an issue in Season 2. Marco and Jackie's relationship wasn't just something that happened out of nowhere. It was established in Season 1 that Marco had a crush on her, and we even saw in a flashback that Marco had a crush on Jackie since they were little kids. My point is that the series built up to Marco and Jackie eventually getting together. We watched Marco grow more confident in actually talking to Jackie and seeing it pay off with the two of them getting together. Yeah, you might still hate shipping, but at least the series made it feel natural when they became a couple. Others might have a problem with Star now having a crush on Marco, but I view it the same way as Marco and Jackie's relationship. Star and Marco have been around each other for so long and have been through so much that it's possible that one would start to have feelings for the other. Kind of like Taiga and Ryuji from Toradora. As I said in my review of that series, both started as friends trying to help the other get with their crush. However, as time passed, both began to have feelings for each other and ended up getting together. The reason I also like their relationship is the same reason I'm okay with Jackie and Marco getting together this season. The series built it up instead of happening out of nowhere. Again, I know fans complain about the shipping, but I didn't see it as a problem at this point. However, as I said earlier, that's a discussion for a future video. Now, I want to focus on Ludo and how he's changed this season. One of the things I wasn't expecting was how great of a villain Ludo became during Season 2. As I said in my Season 1 review, he was primarily a comedic villain during that time. In Season 2, he's now a serious threat to Star. Instead of just standing back while others do everything, he's fighting Star head to head. He also has the other half of the wand, so he can fight her and hold his own. I also like the dynamic between Star using her wand this season and how Ludo uses his. As I mentioned earlier, Star's emotions sometimes seem to affect her spells. Compared to Star in wand-to-wand, Ludo uses his emotions to bring out the power in his wand. Specifically, his anger at the rats who are messing with him. It's a fun dynamic because you have Star learning to keep her emotions in check so she can perform magic, and Ludo letting his emotions out because of the destructive power it gives his wand. It even leads to Ludo beating Star and grabbing her magic book. It was fun seeing Ludo become more of a threat this season. He still has his comedic moments like he's known for, but seeing him be a threat to Star was a good move considering Toffee disappeared after the Season 1 finale. Speaking of, seeing Toffee's return later in the season was one of the best moments in the series. Most of us assumed Toffee had something to do with the wand, but finally hearing his voice again made me excited to know he was still behind the scenes pulling the strings. Plus, the fight involving him in the Season 2 finale is easily the best moment of the season. Especially when we learned that Moon had once fought him before and was now facing off against him again. So as I brought up earlier, Season 2 kept me invested in the series. I said for the most part because there are a couple of episodes I hate this season. Those are Trickstar and All Belts Are Off. Let's start with the former. Trickstar involves Star and Marco going to Marco's sensei's birthday party. At the party, there happens to be a magician named Preston who secretly steals joy from people. So Star spends the episode trying to reveal this to everyone because everyone else, including Marco, believes he's just a regular magician. Eventually, Star exposes Preston for who he is. However, everyone's mad at Star for exposing him because she, quote, ruined magic for them, unquote. First of all, what? Star just revealed some weird evil guy was stealing joy from people, and they're more concerned that magic is ruined because Star exposed them? And before someone types, oh, that's just a bunch of background characters, so what's the big deal? Even Marco treats Star like she was in the wrong for exposing him. You know, Star's best friend, that's helped her fight against evil several times, is now telling Star she was wrong? It's like he completely ignores it like the rest of the crowd. Shouldn't Marco be asking if Preston was possibly working with Ludo, and if this was part of Ludo's plan? It really made me hate Marco for one episode. Spoiler, this won't be the only time I get mad at Marco during this series. Oh, and another spoiler, Preston never shows up again, so we never know what his deal is. Speaking of Marco, let's move on to the other episode I hate, All Belts Are Off. That episode revolves around Jeremy, Marco's rival, and I use rival loosely here, getting to do a presentation for their karate class. However, Marco thinks it's wrong, so he tries to expose Jeremy for the brat he is. We then discover that Sensei already knew that, and only let Jeremy do that because his parents paid him so much for classes. Honestly, this episode is just boring. It doesn't lead anywhere in the future, and I forgot Jeremy existed before this. This episode is the only time he has a significant role in Season 2, and the last time he's seen in the series. It's like the writers remembered him and tried to shoehorn him into this season, but gave up on having him anywhere in the future. Personally, I'm okay with that since I view Tom as a better rival for Marco. With all that said, though, I have to admit Season 2 was great, and I'd argue it was better than Season 1. Season 2 added to what made Star vs. the Forces of Evil so great in the first place. The episodes were still episodic, but they also added an overarching story. The characters were the same ones we fell in love with, but we were getting to see them grow as the series progressed. Does Season 2 have its flaws? Yes. Does it ruin the whole season? Absolutely not. I know not every episode in a series will be great, and it wasn't like these episodes drastically affected the overall story. Granted, they're still bad, but you wouldn't miss much if you skipped these two. Overall, I felt like Season 2 proved Disney made the right choice by automatically giving it 2 seasons. The cliffhanger at the finale also excited me for what would happen next as Season 2 closed. All that was left to ask was what would happen when Season 3 aired, and I couldn't wait to find out. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my review of Season 2. It's been fun looking back on a series I was a fan of back when it was still ongoing. Also, I wanted to drop some hints about what you'll see in my next reviews. Until then, I'm curious about your thoughts on Season 2. Did you think Season 2 Star vs. the Forces of Evil was better than the first? Did you agree or disagree with any of my points? Let me know in the comments. Not only do they help me improve on future videos, but they also help my videos reach more people. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more of my content in the future. I'm Marco Strange. Stay safe, stay strange.